Alrighty, guys, we are currently hitting at 75% in our last 13 board member tier package plays on my website. And before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to our college basketball video here today for Saturday, February 18th, 2023. Happy Saturday to you. Hopefully you had a great start to your weekend. My name is Brock Page. I've been doing sports picks for free on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And once again, guys, I'm hitting at 75% my last 13 board member tier package plays on that site. Now, the all-inclusive board member package gives you access to every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, guys, you're also going to get access to my board member podcast as well. The math works out to be just $1.66 a day to be a board member. It's cheaper than your daily cup of coffee. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on patreon.com/BrockPage is I actually share with you which one of these free picks on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. I currently have over 550 members who are signed up and active on that site right now. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with Notre Dame at Virginia, 12 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Virginia Cavaliers are minus 12, totals 130. Now, the Cavs are 12-1 at home this year, and they play some of the toughest defense in the ACC. They allow just 57 points a game in their own building, and actually puts them in the top 15 in the country in that category. Armaan Franklin has 24 steals on the season and double-digit blocks. He's also the team's leading scorer and drills just about, actually, it's not just about, he does. He drills 40% of his three-pointers. Now, Kihei Clark, spit it out, Kihei Clark, he's scoring just about a dozen points a game himself. He's also knocking down 40% of his long balls. Now, they're facing a Notre Dame team who's winless on the road this season. They average just 66 points a game in those losses. When it comes to the total, the Irish saw 4 out of their last 5 stay under the number. Meanwhile, Virginia saw unders against the likes of Louisville, NC State, and Syracuse. Give me Virginia minus 12, under 130. Next matchup, little Big Ten action. Rutgers, Wisconsin, 12 o'clock East. Wisconsin's the 1-point favorite at home, totals 124. Now, the Badgers have been real tough to score against in the Kohl Center. They allow only 59 points a game in their own building. And they do a nice job guarding the three-pointer. Chucky Hepburn has 42 steals on the season and a couple of blocks. He's also leading the squad right now in scoring. He's drilling 44% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, teammate Connor Esigian, he's making 42% of his shots from beyond the arc. And they're facing a Rutgers team on the other side who lost 6 of 8 on the road. And they averaged just 64 points a game in those contests. And in their last 10 head-to-head meetings with Wisconsin, the Scarlet Knights got the W only 3 times. They were held to just 62 points a game in those meetings. Now, total-wise, Rutgers is 75% to the under away from Piscataway. Meanwhile, the Badgers went 60% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward Wisconsin minus 1, under 124. Next matchup, it is going to be Illinois taking on Indiana, 12 o'clock Eastern start time. The Indiana Hoosiers are minus 6, totals 143. Now, the Hoosiers are 13-1 in Assembly Hall. They're actually making 52% of their field goals there. And no real surprise here, the Hoosiers are also knocking down 41% of their three-pointers in Bloomington. Miller Kopp's drilling nearly 45% of his long balls this year. Meanwhile, Trace Jackson Davis, he's scoring 20 points a game. Now they're taking on an Illinois team who lost 2 out of their last 3 themselves. And they gave up 78 points a game on average during that short stretch. Now the Illini also has a losing road record, and they've been little threat shooting it from three land. Illinois is currently making just 30% of their 3 balls away from Champaign. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, the Hoosiers saw their last 3 straight stay under the posted total. Those were unders against the likes of Northwestern, Michigan, and Rutgers. And no real shock here, guys. Indy also went 7-3 the under in their last 10. Now, Illinois, on the other side, they saw 5 out of their last 7 stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Indiana, -6, under 143. Next matchup I have for it is going to be Seton Hall taking on UConn, 12 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The UConn Huskies are -10 at home, totals 134.5. And even though I do hate this number here in a conference game, I typically do not like laying double digits in conference games. But I'll tell you this much. The Huskies have been playing really good defense at home this year. They're allowing just 63 points a game in their own building. And they're also limiting their opponents to just 26% shooting from 3-land there. Matter of fact, the Huskies are currently in the top 10 in home defensive 3-point percentage. Adama Sanogo has 23 steals and 16 blocks. He also leads the team with over 17 points a night. Meanwhile, Jordan Hawkins averages over 16 points a game himself. He's also drilling 40% of his long balls. Now, when it comes to rebounding the basketball, the Huskies are a top 20 offensive rebounding team. That's in the nation. They're facing a Seton Hall squad who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4. And they score only 65 points a game on the road. Now, the Pirates are also one of the worst free throw shooting teams on the road in the nation. When it comes to the injury report, Yetna's still out. Davis is questionable. Meanwhile, for UConn, Adama Sanogo is recovering from an illness. Should be ready to go here. I know he's been sick, but it looks like he's going to play today. But anyway, total-wise, UConn went 6-3 to the over in their last 9. The only reason why I say that is you may see his name in some injury reports, but he's probable to go. So we're most likely going to see him playing. But anyway, once again, UConn 6-3 to the over in their last 9. The Huskies are also 11-3 to the over in their last 14 at home. I'm going to lean toward UConn -10 over 134.5. Next matchup, Texas Tech, West Virginia, 12 o'clock East. West Virginia's -6, totals 145. Now, the Mountaineers have played some really good basketball in Morgantown. They're 11-3 at home this year, and they're averaging nearly 80 points a game there. Eric Stevenson's leading the team in points, and he's also shooting it very well from 3-land. Meanwhile, Trey Mitchell is scoring double-digit points a game himself. He's making nearly 40% of his 3-pointers. Now, they're facing a Texas Tech team who has just 1 road win on the year. When it comes to offensive production, the Red Raiders averaged only 65 points a game in those road contests. Now, injury-wise, Bacho and Isaacs are both questionable for Texas Tech. When it comes to the total, Texas Tech went 4-2 to the over in their last 6. Meanwhile, West Virginia is 64% to the over in their own arena. I'm going to lean toward West Virginia -6 over 145. Next game, it is going to be Tennessee, Kentucky, 1 o'clock East. The Tennessee Vols are -2, totals 135.5. Now, the Volunteers are pretty much the best defensive team in the nation. They allow only 58 points a game on the road, and they limit their competition to just 24% shooting from 3-land. They actually lead the nation in defending the 3-pointer. It's the lowest defensive 3-point percentage in all of college basketball. Now, Zakai Ziegler has 6 blocks on the year and 53 big steals. He's also second on the team in scoring. Meanwhile, Santiago Vescovi's averaging over a dozen points a game himself, along with 4.5 rebounds. Now, they're facing a Kentucky team who lost 2 out of their last 3, and they allowed 77 points a game on average during that very short span. And out of Kentucky's last 10 meetings with Tennessee, the Wildcats got the W only 4 times. Now, injury-wise, Frederick and Wheeler are questionable for Kentucky. Meanwhile, for Tennessee on the other side, James and Phillips are questionable for them. When it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Tennessee's last 7 on the road did stay under the number. Meanwhile, Tennessee's 63% to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward Tennessee -2, under 135.5. Next matchup, we're going to stay in the SEC. I'm talking about Florida at Arkansas, 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Arkansas is -9, totals 139. Now, the Razorbacks should be able to take care of business despite this number. They're 11-2 straight up at home, and they're limiting their competition to just 39% shooting from the field there. Anthony Black has 50 steals on the season and 15 blocks. Black's also second on the team in scoring. Meanwhile, Ricky Council, he averages a team-high 16.5 points a game. They're facing a Florida team who lost 3 out of their last 4 themselves, and they have a losing record away from Gainesville. Matter of fact, the Gators are one of the worst road shooting teams in the entire country. They're shooting just 37% from the field while traveling. They're also making only 24% of their three-pointers on the road as well. When it comes to the injury report, Felder, Bonham, and Castleton, they're all banged up for the Gators. Keep an eye on their statuses. Now, total-wise, Florida's gone 75% to the under as the road team. Meanwhile, Arkansas is 10-3 to the under in their last 13 at home. I'm going to lean toward Arkansas -9, under 139. Next matchup, it is going to be Iowa State taking on Kansas State, and that'll be a 2 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Kansas State's -3, totals 134.5. Now, K-State's nearly perfect at home this season. They're 13-1 in their own building, and they're giving up very little points there. Wildcats limit their competition to just 61 points a game in the Bramlage Coliseum. They're also in the top 10 in the country in guarding the three-pointer at home. They're limiting their competition to just 26% shooting from three-land in their own arena. Naquan Tomlin, he has 31 steals and 24 blocks defensively. He's also averaging double-digit points a game on offense as well. Meanwhile, Keontae Johnson, he scores a team-best 17.5 points a night. He's also drilling 40% of his long balls. Now, they're facing an Iowa State team on the other side who's having a tough time getting the W on the road. Out of 7 contests as the official road team, well, the Cyclones got the W only one time. And a lot of that is due to some poor shooting. Iowa State makes only 29% of their three-pointers on the road. And in addition to all that, well, the Cyclones are also one of the worst foul-shooting teams on the road in the country. Now, when it comes to the number, K-State saw 5 out of their last 8 stay under the total. Meanwhile, Iowa State went 63% to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward Kansas State -3, under 134.5. All right, next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Oklahoma squaring off against Texas. That's going to be a 2 o'clock Eastern start time. The Texas Longhorns are -10.5, totals 143. Now, the Longhorns are one of the best home scoring teams in the country. They're averaging nearly 85 points a game in the Moody Center, and they're making just about 50% of their field goals there. And no real surprise here, guys. The Longhorns are a staggering 14-1 in front of their home crowd. Marcus Carr leads the roster with 17 points a night. He's also drilling 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, teammate Sir'Jabari Rice, he's averaging nearly a dozen points a game. Now, they're facing an Oklahoma team who lost 6 of 7 on the road this year, and they averaged only 65 points a game in those contests. And out of a dozen conference games this year, well, the Sooners got the W only 3 times. Now, total-wise, 5 out of OU's last 7 road games did get over the number. Meanwhile, the Texas Longhorns on the other side, they went 10-5 to the over in their own arena. I'm going to lean toward Texas -10.5, over 143. Next matchup, it is going to be Oklahoma State taking on TCU. That'll be a 2 o'clock Eastern start time. TCU's -5.5, totals 141. Now, the Horned Frogs have played some incredibly tough defense in their own building. They allow only 61 points a game in the Schollmeyer, and they limit their competition to just 39% shooting from the field there. Mike Miles has 25 steals on the season and a handful of blocks. Miles is also scoring a team-high 18 points a game offensively. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Miller, he's scoring over a dozen points a game himself. He's also drilling 47% of his three-pointers. Now, they're facing an Oklahoma State team who lost 5 of 8 while traveling. The Cowboys are being held to just 67 points per contest in those road trips. And in addition to that, Oklahoma State's shooting just 41% from the field in that same category. Now, when it comes to scoring, TCU saw their last 3 straight stay under the number, 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State averaged just 68 points a game in their last 10 head-to-head meetings with the Horned Frogs. So if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. I'm going to lean toward TCU minus 5.5, under 141. Next ball game, it is going to be Mississippi State squaring off against Ole Miss. And that's going to be a 3:30 Eastern tip-off. Mississippi State's minus 3 on the road, totals 127.5. Now, Mississippi State's one of the toughest teams in the nation to score against. They allow only 58 points per contest, and they're in the top 5 in guarding the field goal. Tolu Smith has 22 blocks on the year and 14 steals. He's also leading the team in scoring. Meanwhile, Shaquille Moore, he's averaging just about a double-digit points a game. Now, they're facing an Ole Miss team who lost 8 out of their last 10, and they have a losing record at home. They're also one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the SEC. Now, injury-wise, Ruffin and Ewan are still out for the Rebels. James White is questionable. When it comes to the total, Ole Miss saw unders against the likes of South Carolina and Arkansas. Meanwhile, Mississippi State, 69% to the under for the whole year. I'm going to lean toward Mississippi State minus 3, under 127.5. Next game, some Big 12 action. Baylor squaring off against Kansas, 4 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Kansas Jayhawks are minus 5.5, totals 148 and a hook. Now, the Jayhawks are on a 3-game winning streak, and they covered in 5 out of their last 6. They've also been really tough to beat in the Allen Fieldhouse this year. These guys are 12-1 straight up in their own arena. Jalen Wilson averages over 20 points a night, which leads the program. Meanwhile, Grady Dick, he's draining 42% of his 3 balls. Now they're facing a Baylor squad who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 6 conference road games. And out of their last 10 meetings with Kansas, the Bears averaged only 69 points a game offensively. So once again, if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. Now, as far as this season's concerned, the Baylor Bears' biggest issue has been their defensive play on the road. These guys allow 77 points a game while traveling. When it comes to the total, Baylor saw 4 out of their last 7 road games get over the total. Meanwhile, Kansas is 8-5 to the over at the Allen Fieldhouse. I'm going to lean toward Kansas minus 5.5, over 148 and a hook. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be DePaul taking on Xavier, 4 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Xavier's minus 13, totals 157. Xavier's in the top 10 in the country in points per game. And they're also in the top 3 in the country in shooting from 3-land. Musketeers are drilling over 40% of their three-pointers as a team. Sully Boom, he's making 41% of his shots from 3-land. He's also averaging a team-high 16 points a game. Meanwhile, Colby Jones and Jack Nunge, they're drilling well over 41% of their three-pointers respectively. They're facing a DePaul team who's on a 7-game losing streak, and they've yet to win a conference road game this year. As a matter of fact, out of 15 contests against the Big East this season, the Blue Demons got the W only 3 times. They're arguably the worst defensive rebounding team in college basketball. Now, injury-wise, Yor Ane, he is questionable for the Blue Demons. When it comes to the scoring, DePaul saw 5 out of their last 6 get over the total. Meanwhile, Xavier's 11-3 to the over in the Cintas Center. I'm going to lean towards Xavier minus 13, over 157. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. I like Northeastern minus 7, under 137. UNC Greensboro minus 3, over 138. Wisconsin Badgers minus 1, under 124. Before we go ahead and move on here, guys, just a friendly reminder that I'm hitting at 75% in my last 13 board member tier package bets on my website. Give me the Indiana Hoosiers minus 6, under 143. Virginia Cavaliers minus 12, under 130. Boston College plus 4, under 143. UConn minus 10, over 134.5. West Virginia minus 6, over 145. St. Joe's plus 5, over 143. New Hampshire +2, under 139.5. UMass Lowell -11 over 141. Bucknell +5 over 134. VMI +14 over 145. Citadel +4 over 144. Stonehill +3 under 130. St. Francis, PA -7 over 151. Southern Miss -7 under 139. LSU -7 under 133. Tennessee Volunteers -2 under 135.5. Rhode Island -4 over 141. Arkansas -9 under 139. Texas State -1 under 139. Central Michigan +9 over 143.5. Merrimack +2 under 133. Mercer -5 over 136. Campbell -7 under 128. Elon +2 under 136. Wisconsin Green Bay +23 under 143. Kansas State -3 under 134.5. Illinois State +14 over 144. TCU -5.5 under 141. Texas Longhorns -10.5 over 143. Colgate -18 over 144. American University -4 under 137. University of Maine -7 over 138. Miami Hurricanes -6 under 158. Kennesaw State -7 over 155. Fordham +9 over 134. Western Michigan +9 over 144. Georgia State +2 under 129.5. South Dakota +4 over 145. Morehead State -9 under 132. Stephen F. Austin -11 over 135. Longwood -4.5 over 129 and a hook. Gardner Webb +3 over 132. Northern Arizona +2 under 146. Charlotte +2 under 125.5. Mississippi State -3 under 127 and a hook. Tennessee Martin +1.5 over 149.5. Appalachian State -3 under 129. South Alabama -11 over 133. Wagner -3.5 under 140. South Carolina Upstate +1.5 over 147. UC Irvine -7 over 146. Drexel -5 under 132.5. Towson -11 under 143. UNC Wilmington +2 over 132. George Mason -5 over 137. Norfolk -12 over 145. North Florida -3 over 144. Howard -6 over 157. Kansas Jayhawks -5.5 over 148 and a hook. Maryland Eastern Shore -7.5 under 148 and a hook. Northern Iowa +5 under 131.5. Grambling -3.5 under 138. Navy -10 under 132.5. Texas San Antonio +16 under 153. Xavier -13 over 157. Alcorn +2 under 142. NC Central -8 under 136. Nichols State -11.5 over 143 and a hook. With my next and final free pick, give me Murray State -11 over 143. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. Now, if you guys do end up getting my board member package, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days. It's going to include every single personal play, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just $1.66 a day. It's cheaper than your daily cup of coffee. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube or TikTok. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.